cutting hair, but I miss the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, sometimes you have to become a people person.
Mm-hmm.
And there at the end, mostly there was guys that I'd been cutting their hair for 20 years or more, and I'd already done second, third generation kids.
Now, how did you get into barbering?
My mom suggested it. But like I say, when I was young and I got married young, and luckily for me, my mom was getting help from the veterans people, and through them I was able to get the barbering paid for through with the veterans.
Veterans benefit because of your dad.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, my mom still gets her checks from the VA, so she's lucky there.
So the VA paid for your training as a barber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she's the one that made like I told you earlier, she used to cut my hair till I was about 12.
Uh-huh.
I used to wear the flat tops, but after a while, the flat tops were this way. So she said, well, just walk this way, it'll be flat. So, but that's how, because she used to cut my grandpa's hair and one of my uncles. And she suggested, and at that time, I said, I got to do something. Because I never worked one day in my life, It was almost like from high school, and I went to half semester to Valley College. I had to get in there, and it's not like today, these guys get these gals pregnant and then they disappear, make other babies, No, I had to do the right thing, and they made sure I did. So.
Well, congratulations, and
Yeah.
you and your family, because,
Yeah.
like you said, 4 daughters and many grandkids.
This year will be 53 years married.
Congratulations.
For
Congratulations.
everybody to tell me, because I have my medical problems, because that's why I had to retire. I have clogged arteries, but they always say, hey, Mally, well, you look pretty good. I said, well, you haven't checked under the hood. So that's where all the problems are.
Mel, you grew up in Colton.
Yes.
You grew up in Colton. Now tell me, back in those days, we had social clubs. The guys would get together, and the guys from one of the barrios would be their group. Guys from Las Palomas would be another group. The guys from the Calle Cinco would be another group.
The Nicle. They call it the Nicle.
La Nicle.
Yeah.
Now, what were some of the names of these different groups that were here in Colton?
Well, back then they called them gangs, but I look back and they were social, because we were sponsored by that. What was that?
Congress of Community Clubs?
And they were elderly men, and each gang, I'm going to call them gangs, but they weren't. We never caused any problems.
What were the names of the?
Well, my gang was the Emperors.
And who was your advisor, sponsor from the Congress
I
of
think
Community
it was
Clubs?
Mr. Manuel. Was it Manuel Padilla?
Manuel Padilla was
Yeah.
your advisor?
Yeah, and then they had the Conquistadores,
Uh-huh.
who lasted for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget who they sponsored, but they had somebody else. And then they had the Solteros,
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Amador,
The
Deacon Bobby
Deacon
Amador.
Bobby Amador.
Yeah, but they were all good guys,
But it was just kind of a hangout kind of a group.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't to go start trouble or shoot people. It's ugly now. It's ugly. And we got along. All the the clubs got together. We all went to school together, and there was never any problems.
Mhm.
Later on, there was other gangs that the boleros,
Mhm.
but those were older guys that hung out on 7th Street.
Mhm.
But those were the rough guys.
Yeah.
They were older.
But I'm surprised that the Congress of Community Clubs members would go out of their way
They
to
did.
work with you folks.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd have our meetings, and one of them was there during the meetings, but they'd keep after us, and they did a good job. 'Cause most of in fact, one of the guys that's gonna be at the Hall of Fame, Ruben Acevedo,
Mm-hmm.
he was in my gang,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got a brother, Richard, who went on to college. That guy's a brain. I don't know if you know Richard.
He's an accountant.
Yeah, very smart man. Always was. So, like I say, a lot of he became a correction officer, Art Reynosa.
Mm-hmm.
You knew the Reynosa.
Yes,
You went-
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So, like I say, most of them became law-abiding good guys.
So the majority of quote gang unquote members became active members and participants in our community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I got a funny, when we had the Emperors, there was only a couple of guys that had the jackets, because we couldn't afford the jackets.
Mhm.
So we would share. You have it for 2 days, and but at that time, we all could fit in it, you know, so that, conquistadores, all of them had, so they had a little bit more money, and they were in existence a little longer.
Who was the president of the Conquistadores?
Jack Joaquin Granado,
Ah, they're still
he was,
around.
he was the original.
Yeah,
and
who was
he's-
your president?
I'm trying to think, I think Ray Marquez, who was a very good friend of mine, he was from New Mexico, and he was brand new in the community, but he wound up being my best friend who passed away, and he married, I don't know if you remember Helen Cortez, Sharon Cortez.
Yes.
Yeah, that's who he married. But-
And Deacon Bob's
No,
group, who was their
that's what-
president?
I don't know who their president was. Could have been Deacon Bob,
Uh-huh.
because he's still a leader. You know
Yes,
that
he
guy?
is. Yes,
Very
he
good
is.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, he does a great job for the community. Still,
Uh-huh.
whenever there's a funeral or when they're in need of a rosary or something, he's there, Johnny on the spot.
Mhm.
But he's a good man. He's a good man.
Let me see. As club members, Mel, you know, you guys got together almost every day,
Yeah,
and you know, you palled around and pushed each other and
Yeah.
made fun of each other
Yeah.
and do all those crazy things that.
well, and on weekends,
Good
we
friends
do a
do.
little refreshments.
Well, I was going to ask you, what did you guys do for entertainment? Did you have, dances or
Well, we,
getting together
well,
or
there was one-
baseballs?
Yeah, well, we didn't do too much. We had a basketball game one time against the Holy Barbarians. You remember the
Yes,
Holy-
yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
that was Turo and the older guys.
Yeah.
But we had no problems with it. That was another club.
Uh,
But there was one year, I think we did have a dance with the Conquistadores. We just merged and had it, and, you know, I even forget what we did with the money, but we never made big money.
uh-huh.
I remember one year, I was the treasurer. So one year, there was this old 49 Chevy that was being sold, and amongst all of us, we bought it. I think it was only $50, just barely ran, but we would use it to go to the Hidden Lake over up near Piccolo Pete's, the restaurant over there.
Yes, yes,
There was
yes,
like
yes.
a little hidden lake there that we'd go to.
Mhm.
Until it broke, we left it it broke down, so we left it at Charlie Avoyta's place,
Uh-huh.
so he could work in it. Well, the next day we came up, they had broken all the windows. We just said, you can keep it, it's yours.
So anyway, you guys got together, you went swimming, you went to
Oh, yeah.
parties.
Right, we went to we call them the sequias, the canals.
Yes.
Going swimming. Yeah, we used to go to High Grove. Ruben Acevedo, Art Reynosa, Bobby Fernandez, those three were on their club. Well, they all married three sisters from High Grove, the
Okay.
Diaz sisters.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And I think they're all still married, except Bobby is divorced with his ex-wife, yeah. But that's what we did. We were still young and dumb, but we had a good time. On weekends, we go to dances, we go to parties. They had the garage parties at different homes.
Okay.
And the way they got spread around was at school. There was little invitations that they'd spread around.
Mhm.
But that's what we did.
Mhm.
Had a good time.
Uh-huh.
But I couldn't get in trouble because by the time I was 18, I was out of the club. I was married, and so, that continued. I was out of that. So,
Do you remember any of the music that was popular during your era when you guys were palling around?
yeah, and they're still popular now because even my kids love the old, Donna and, all the great songs that were, yeah. A lot of songs, yeah. The Penguins and
Earth Angel?
Earth Angel, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of songs. And they're still popular now.
Mhm.
But there were songs you could, even the guys singing the songs, they would all dress nice.
Mhm.
Now they go with T-shirts or no shirt, and they're making millions of dollars,
Uh-huh.
and they can't even dress right.
Mm.
Bad. But we used to have good, and like I say, those songs continue. Even to my kids, And even, that's why they have them on PBS all the time, the doo-wop.
Mhm.
And you send in money, and a lot of those guys are old. That's just, but I'm old too, so.
We're old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Mel, How is there a difference now? How different is Colton now from comparing when you grew up to looking at Colton now?
Well, of course, back then, all the Mexicanos were in South Colton. They
We
were
all
all
lived there. We all lived there, right?
But you go back there now, it looks the same, but I don't know any of the people, because a lot of them are people that have come from Mexico, and the ones that lived there, they're all living in North Colton.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, Colton altogether is probably 70% Mexicano, Chicano. So, and now you're looking at mayors and councilmen that are, where you didn't see that before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was growing up, it was Mel Fuchs and Caney from the meat guy, and but now now we see a lot of Mexicanos now, which and a lot of them were my customers. Max Lofi is not Mexicano. He's married to Bob Alvarez's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy,
Mm-hmm.
great guy. I've never heard anything bad about him.
Mm-hmm.
But
No,
you-
but Bob was a principal,
at McKinley for a while. I think he
Right.
went to Bloomington later on.
right? Crestmore Elementary
Yes,
School.
yes, great guy.
Mhm.
And his boys, I think, became lawyers, and
Mhm.
yeah, so he was a great guy. But there was, like I say, everybody, they all live in the north side now, where
Mhm.
we weren't allowed.
Mhm.
I remember as a kid, we'd come over here to the north side to go mow lawns because the Anglos paid more money.
Mhm.
So we'd come over here.
But you know, Mel, I don't remember having a lawn in my house.
I know.
I don't know what
Well,
a
we
lawn
used
was.
their lawn more because we didn't have one. Yeah, it was just now we had a lawn, but it was just devil grass, you know.
Yeah.
And we had no street. That's why I never learned how to skate.
No sidewalks,
No
curb and
sidewalk.
gutters. Huh?
Yeah, and no sidewalk, curb, not even a street, you know. So-
You know, when they integrate the junior high school, Wilson and
Yeah.
Roosevelt,
Yeah,
in 53, 54,
yeah,
and the new school was located in the north side of town.
exactly.
That's when I saw my first lawn, sidewalk, and curb and gutter.
Well, I saw them earlier when I was mowing.
Yeah.
But it was nice, and now I lived there. You know, I've been there for. In fact, I bought my house, the one I'm living in, back in '65. It's still there, but yeah, things have changed that way where they're all on the north side, and everybody knows everybody, and like I say, it's great.
Well, the other thing that I've noticed about Colton is that almost everybody is related to everybody else.
Don't talk bad about anybody because, hey, that's my primo, or that's you can't.
Mhm.
You better find out first. Hey,
Yeah.
you're related to somebody. Okay, now I can.
And you mentioned Max Lofi.
Oh,
Well,
great guy.
well, even the gringos have gotten into the picture.
Mhm.
They're related to us now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I knew his other sister, Velia, was married to Jim Barthol, who was a mail carrier. He played for the Mercuries. Just a little guy, but he must have been good.
Mhm.
Because my wife Lucy cleaned their house for a lot of years. Now they're both they're both gone now.
Mhm.
Natalie and Max are still. They live down the block from where they live. But like I say, yeah, they've integrated,
Mhm.
through marriage and stuff like that.
So it's completely different now.
Oh well, I've got two granddaughters who married two black guys, which was kind of because that's just the way we were brought up, and I'm sure the Anglos were brought up the same way.
Mhm.
But I've learned that when they were born and I see them, I love them just as much as they're mine.
Mhm.
My blood, my wife's blood are in them too. So that's the way I am now.
Mhm.
So one's married to, their parents are from Guatemala,
Mhm.
so, but they're still Latinos.
Mhm.
But that's the way you see a lot of Mexicanas or Mexicanos with black girls or Asians, but that's the way things, I think they handle it better probably than maybe we did.
Yeah, because we were indoctrinated with a bias.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I can go back, there was a story when we went to Garfield, and we'd have our lunch. There was a big, I don't know if you probably ate there was a big table set, and we would eat our lunch just on the table. There was no, And I'd take my paper bag, and the other guys with their and they would eat the burrito. We didn't call them burrito; they were tacos. You know, burrito
Right.
came later on. And they were eating it in the bag, just like you see these guys drinking their beer in the bag. And I'm thinking, that's how the Anglos made us ashamed to be Mexicanos.
Mhm.
But then the teacher started, hey, I want a burrito, or they didn't call them burritos, so they'd give you that ugly bologna sandwich, you know. But that's the way it was, you know. We couldn't speak Spanish. Of course, I never learned Spanish like my wife, because they spoke language at home, English too. But I remember my grandparents were broken English, but my mom was mostly English, and which I was glad, you know, because, and I don't look down on guys that have an accent. They were born and raised here, but they do because they spoke both languages. But that's the way it was back then.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
That's the way. We had one black guy, Johnny Lewis, and he lived on Florida. No, he lived on Congress, yeah.
Mhm.
Only black guy. Him and his sister. Varsity basketball, varsity football, and track. When I got my gold medal for the mile when I broke the record, well, he's the one that got it. They called it the long jump. He was the broad jump back then.
Mhm.
Great guy, good athlete. But we accepted him. You know, he was one of us. He was one of us. But those are sometimes the little things I remember from school.
Yeah. We're getting to the end of our interview, Mel.
Mhm.
Is there anything that comes to mind that you would like to share with us? Any war stories that come to mind?
What do you mean war stories?
Yeah, well, you know, just things that happened to you that are very memorable.
Well, no, not really. I remember we used to go into, because the girls from the other cities were always better looking, and you know, even though I married a cool girl, but that's the way it was. The guys from Purdue were here, guys from Redlands from here, and I went to Redlands one time and went to this party, and I met a girl there, and of course the guys from Redlands don't like that, you know. So they kind of broke up the thing, and because there was more of them, and we were a little tipsy then, and I don't know, I got a little scar right here,
Mm-hmm, Battle scar, eh?
battle scar, yeah. I thought we went back in the house we were at, and I thought it was just a bloody nose, but my nose, this part here, if they would have just made the complete circle here, I would have looked like Phantom of the Opera, you know, Mr. Nostril. But luckily they were able to sew it up. But that's about the worst thing that ever happened to me. But we had no business going there. You just don't, because we did the same thing to guys from Purdue if they came to Colton. I mean, we wouldn't kill them or like that.
And how old were you when that happened?
Well, I was either my end of my junior year, yeah, right around that time, senior year. And I look back, because I smoked because it was just everybody smoked. And I drank on weekends. But that's part of the, you know,